Welcome!
The World Riichi League Minor, held in Cincinnati, Ohio, showcased the joys and pains of a growing scene. A massive amount of the players at the event were quite green, for most of which this was their first tournament. But there were also two veterans among the fray. Kathy Horton, winner of the 2024 NYC Open, and Valentin Courtois, with multiple great placements around the world and developer of the ranking methodology for World Riichi. One would be right to assume that one of these two would be the expected winner, but all of top 8 gets a prize, so there's much more to fight for than first. Not to mention, Mahjong is quite the volatile game, so anything can happen.
Welcome to the first tournament, first formal sanctioned tournament that we've hosted ever since we rebranded to the Queen City Riichi. And I am your tournament organizer, Peter Gao. We do have 75 minutes plus one hand. That means we have a timer of 75 minutes. When the timer ends, you finish your current hand and play one more hand. All right, other questions? Kevin again.
Are all tables supposed to have dice in them for choosing?
Yes! Do you not have one?
I don't think so.
Oh, nice. Whoever set it up.
Mine. Is there a pen for every table, or do you guys just have pens?
Oh yeah, pens.
We'll get the pens. You don't need that until later. So
Everyone has their wall built, right? Okay.
got your dice ready? 3, 2, 1, Mahjong.
As players settled in, the energy in the opposite sides of the room was vastly different. A couple of my people from Riichi Knoxville and a Queen City Riichi regular sat down with Valentin, a deeply humbling experience. Contrasting this, in the other corner is a table of fairly new players. One of which, Miles, with solid fundamentals, calm play, and a little luck, dominated their table. Every time I glanced over, there was reach this, sumo that. Leaving their opponent so far in the dust, second place was only positive 0.3. Oh, speaking of, I should probably mention how scoring works. If you aren't familiar with how rankings at the end of each match works, let me explain it fairly simply. Your score is portrayed with sticks, tenbo. In WRL events, players start with 30,000 each match. At the end of a match, you count up your score. Then, you subtract 30,000, divide that number by 1,000, in order to get a smaller, more useful number. Then add or subtract the ranking bonus, UMA. For example, Jordan T, the second placer in the match we were just discussing, had 25,300 points. After the equation, we have negative 4.7, and the second place ranking bonus is plus 5, which leaves Jordan at a barely positive 0.3. Keep in mind that this scoring system is essentially just for tournaments, and even as a competitor, you don't need to keep it in mind unless you're playing at a professional level. Anyway, our other veteran, Kathy, is going slow and steady, until...
Judge.
She incurs a penalty, a chonbo. She thought she could on and win the hand. In this split second, she misremembered what her winning weight was. Because this is a World Riichi event, the chonbo penalty is quite severe, 30,000. Essentially meaning you're down by the entire amount that you started with. She couldn't recover from that. She wasn't alone though. Between the first and second matches, the competitors racked up 7 chonbos. Speaking of, let's go over the top contenders of our first match. Paul, Miles, and Valentin are in front of the pack, with the only other double-digit placer being Michael, roughly 10 points behind our top 3. We still have 3 East-South matches to go, but before that, the players will break for lunch. The lunch break was a reasonable duration, but by the time that I repositioned my equipment, set it up, and ate, I only had time for one in-person interview. But for that one interview, it was with a lovely John Boucher.
I'm John Boucher. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I help run the Riichi Mahjong Columbus Club.
What got you into Riichi?
It had been a game that I had seen years in like 12, 15 years ago. And eventually I got around to learning it. I ended up learning American. Didn't super love that. But when the pandemic lockdowns came around, I had some free time on my hands. So I decided to buckle in and learn Japanese style. And I like that a lot. So I've been playing that for, I guess, about 6 years at this point.
Gotcha. And what didn't you like about American, if I can ask?
With American, and I haven't played a ton of it, it feels a little bit like it's a bit more constrained in the sense that all of the hands are more prescribed. But in Riichi or Japanese style, you get a lot more flexibility. You get to sort of choose your danger level or choose your risk level, and you can flex in and out of that as you see fit. So it feels a lot more dynamic in that way. One of the other things I do for the club is I help sort of coordinate learning to play sessions. So at anime conventions or game conventions, I'll organize some people from club and myself to basically organize a couple of tables. So whoever is interested and be like, oh, I've seen that before. I don't know how to play. And then we'll just tell them to come on over and we'll just, get shuffled up and get started. So I've had a lot of people learn about our club there, and probably I've taught at least like 100 or 150 people how to play the game at this point, which feels kind of wild. But the other thing is it's a fun social game, I guess. You get to meet a lot of people from all sorts of different places and all sorts of different experiences.
Yeah, I think organizing at events that would have you, usually for free or very, very cheap, is like probably the best way to onboard new people and just introduce them, because a lot of people are vaguely familiar with some version. So them just seeing it and seeing people play it and have fun is just enough to, you get in there, try it, and then maybe they dive really deep. And I think that the game has a unique advantage of being good for every skill level. And I think that it's very easy for someone who's really good to play at a table of people who are very new. And for that to be like, fine, maybe the new player might be annoyed at how slow they play or something, but like it doesn't feel bad as the newer player as much because there's 4 people at the table. I think it like distributes the burden.
I do agree with your point, though, that it is, especially Japanese style, as a game where you can sort of be comfortable and have a fun time with people anywhere from a beginner level all the way up to like here at the tournament level, and it's totally fine. I think it's a slightly different game at like each of those different levels, however you want to define it, but it's definitely very, very open and welcoming to like anyone who even has a passing interest. So I do like that a lot about it too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
Of course.
Good luck.
Thanks.
As the players shovel back in, they'll sit down, build their walls, hear a few announcements from Peter, and then they're in for 3 back-to-back East-South matches. Hope they had a good lunch.
Okay, other questions? If not, Brian, could you pull up the timer? Yes. Okay, 3, 2, 1, start.
お願いします。Go Going into this final match, as expected, Valentin is more than 40 points above the second placer. Not an insurmountable amount, but definitely a treacherous climb. But what's more interesting is how all the novices will squabble to make the cut. One of whom is Rena, who sits in 12th at the moment. Everyone at the Cincinnati meets better be calling her Tanya Tammy after this, because I swear she won with all simples nearly a dozen times. One of which I saw was a closed run with only Tanya. Miles, currently in 7th, is also fighting for their place in top 8, or maybe even push into top 4. Miles isn't sitting with any sharks, but he isn't sitting with complete slouches either, and they make him work for it.
Yeah, I remember the 6-8 choice being very difficult.
Oh my god.
But the problem is that I have only pin, and Austin is clearly going for so half flush again. So that's why I got rid of my so tiles as fast as I could. Because at this point, he's been going for half flush like every turn.
He's half flush.
Do I feel confident enough to push? Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's for me.
You want to go
Top! First place goes to Valentine C.
Score of 103.2, averaging over 25 points.
Take a prize.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Okay, second place goes to Nicholas H.
A score of 67.4.
All right, third place. Actually, let's pick the prize first. Nice. All right, third place goes to Michael Q.
46.4 points over the course of the game.
All right, your prize. Compass.
Show the camera.
Okay, fourth place. Final certificate goes to Miles L. Very nice. I'll let Brian reveal the fifth into the eighth.
All right, so 5th through 8th is, so Miles had 41. Next is Yuto with 30.2.
That's the card minus it.
After that, I believe this was the player that gave me the most scares in terms of thinking that a jumbo was going to happen when I was walking around. It's Rena. No jumbo, ever. Great.
Extra sticks, yes.
So after Rena is...
Wait, how many points did I have?
So Yuto had 30.2, Rena had 26.8. Next up in, I think we're on 7th now with 26.2 is David A. And in the final spot of our podium, beating out the next place by only 400, like, you know, 0.4, Paul Y with 25.8. Despite a minus 31 in the final round. Oh, sad, sorry.
I was getting the shirt. Yes.
Has he ever had Skyline? Okay.
Okay. Again, thanks to everyone who was able to complete. I think we had everyone show up. We had everyone complete all 4 rounds, so that makes me happy.
Yep. Very happy.
Yep.
Very nice. We only had to use busting sticks one time.
And that was Oliver, so it's it's great. We get to make fun of it. Yeah.
And we had over of 8 Trumbull or
Yeah.
I'm doing my turn.
I did my part in Vegas. Thank you guys very much for coming to our first ever formal sanctioned tournament, World Riichi League Minor. And thank you for your participation. Thank you for coming to this great Cincinnati and having fun. Yeah. Okay.
Don't say bye, don't say bye. It's just a short break on the way. Don't say bye, don't say bye. Now pick up the map that was discarded.